Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and for today's video, is it a farming Friday? Is it a fairground Friday? Is it a plane? I don't know! Right, so all of these are the rides that I've done so far for integration into my fairground, and there will be a lot more because we've got two great big tables to fill. But before then, I really have to sort out the back bit of this farm because we'll never be able to reach it again. So I think I need to do some work there. And while I've got all the tables out of position to do that, I thought I'd hang the plane again, 7893, the passenger plane. And I've done that before filming today, and I could have taken it down and done it again on camera, but I thought that would be a bit silly really. But it's looking really good hanging from the curtain rail. And just two bits of fishing line. It had one round it already, so I just had to add another set around the back. So we've just got two loops basically going over the curtain rail about here and about here. And that's held up at a pretty pleasing angle actually, I think. It looks like it's going off into the distance, not crashing into the wall because the wall isn't there of course. And we can see its wings tilted towards us a bit more as well and see all those lovely passenger doors and so on. So I'm really quite happy with the improvement because it was sort of propped up right in the corner facing into the room. And I think this does it better justice, to be honest. So that is the fourth wide body plane that we've got above the skies of Brick Nottingham. And this curtain rail is certainly big enough to carry quite a few more planes off it, though we don't want them all in a row exactly, do we? So that's the first thing that I've done while I've got access to this corner, and I'm pretty happy with that. While we're on admin and doing things like that, I thought I'd do the vehicle of the week, which is over here, this wonderful dark red car from 60138 High Speed Chase, which is a set from 2017. Now it's the only bit of that set that I just bought it on its own from eBay, some seller who was actually splitting that set for some reason or other, because I really didn't need any more police stuff, especially not another police helicopter. So there we go. So that's looking good. That's that done. And I've got my fishing line out, tape measure, and my pliers and cutters. So I could actually start this video by hanging another aircraft. And what I might do is use one of the sticky hooks that you can probably see still stuck on the ceiling there to hang another plane. And completely by accident, I realise I've got this plane kind of at a bit of a tilted angle, like it's dipping its nose, like it's descending, perhaps all of a sudden. And I kind of figured that, though accidental, because I was actually going for getting it level, might actually be it taking evasive action because another aircraft that I could hang from the old hook could be sort of screaming by at a much faster rate. So the pilot of this passenger plane was taking evasive action. So what I think I'll do is look over the planes that I've got in my collection remaining and see which one might fit the bill. Now, talking about times when you're only interested in one element of a particular set, the plane that I've chosen is another key example of that, and it's this wonderful, kind of stealthy shaped jet from the set 76047, Black Panther Pursuit from 2016. And apparently that is part of the Captain America Civil War film, but I know nothing about that. And this was actually sold on its own, again, without the sort of vehicle in that set or bike or any of the minifigures, and for an incredibly cheap amount, really, because the whole set was about £30, which is quite a good deal anyway. But just selling this, brand new, on eBay on its own, was only about £12, and well, that's really hard to pass up for such a big craft. Really interesting shape, as I say, and lots of nice pieces. So I really like that. Very much indeed. So I've put a regular pilot in there that I've just got spare. You're not really going to be able to see them from the ground too much anyway. And I think it's a really good tip for getting vehicles and side builds out of especially licensed sets, because a lot of people buy the sets just for the minifigures, obviously avid collectors, and then they sell on the, for them, unwanted side builds brand new for quite a reasonable amount in some cases. So It's always good to have a look at those and see what is available, and that's where this one came from. So as you can see, I've added a bit of fishing line by taking basically this entire section apart, putting the line through in a loop and then putting it all back. So that is very firmly attached. And what I've done here, because we want it to be taking evasive action alongside this big old jet here and sort of coming, I think, towards us at a jaunty angle, I've deliberately mounted this fishing line asymmetrically. So you'll see on this side, it kind of comes out right next to the corner of that purple piece, whereas on this side, it's coming out just one stud further over when it's like that. So that means when it's hanging from a hook, it'll be slightly tilted to its left. Do you see that? So that's a bit clever, and I've mounted it roughly near the centre of gravity, front to back, so it's actually tipping very slightly forward. And by just experimenting with different placements for fishing line, you can really get some interesting angles. So I'm going to get on the ladder and try and hang that little ship up there on that hook. And there it is, slightly tipping forward, slightly tipping to its left. And this jet has been taking evasive action to avoid it streaking by. Maybe it's come to intercept the aliens, who knows? Not sure the light's that great up here, but nonetheless. But I think that was a necessary thing to get done while we had access to this corner. Adds a bit of interest to the skies. And now we can get on with the farm. Well, I'm back on terra firma now, having put away that stepladder, at least for now. And if we just quickly look up at that scene that we've just done, I think that's looking really dynamic from below. You look at the dart-like shape of that fast jet streaming by, and the rather belated sort of countermeasure action of ducking down a little bit by this great big, huge passenger jet. But yeah, it looks like a really good scene, and I love the fact that this is pointing into the room now. It looks very menacing. You really can't see much of it because of its black colour, but the shape is just terrific. So I really like that. A very good addition. But back to the farm. So I've come back to the farm because we've had all of this wonderful new real estate freed up by the replacement of my real life curtain with a real life blind. And it's actually given us this strip that's about 3/4 of a base plate, or 24 studs-ish sort of depth, for quite a big old length along this side here. So really, I want to use, first of all, as much as I can of that for the farm. Because although I absolutely adore the farm and I love all of the scenes and the animals and everything else we've got in it, it is a little cramped. Not so much the front and all of those scenes over here, but definitely when you get more towards the back. Now, problems with it, I think the main problem was the fact that my wonderful harvester, you can barely see. I can hardly show you it with my camera even, but there we go. There it is from above. And I wanted that to be kind of harvesting something ideally, and it can't as it currently is, and it's very hard to see, and that's not ideal. Also, I just kind of crammed in this idea for an orchard in between two other buildings, and that's not really being done full justice either. So the fact that we've got this great big expanse back here to use, I think will solve all those problems. So it's been a real lucky streak getting that made available. So what I plan to do, in a nutshell, if I can reach in and grab this thing, is have this pride of place on the window ledge harvesting a field of wheat. So I reckon it should be doing something like, let's say about here, and behind it, no wheat, and in front of it, loads of wheat. So I'm going to have to build kind of a facade in a way, I suppose, of a wheat field, given that I have lots of sort of stalks of yellow or probably tan actually in colour to sort of represent the crop that is yet to be harvested. So that will look really amazing and hopefully be visible from all over the Lego room. And also I'm hoping that the sort of field sort of nature of it will look very much like this. Obviously different, it'll be wheat, but I think it will be very good to have that sort of splash of colour and that repeating pattern of something en masse. So I think that'll be really good. And then what is left is this very difficult to use space over here. So in the long run, I was thinking I might do what a lot of people suggested at the time, which was do a farmhouse, because that's one building from this scene that we haven't really seen yet. And I could always do that as a facade build as well. And maybe just to break things up, I could even do it on the diagonal, just so it looks a little bit different to kind of fill up that corner. So I think that's a really good idea. But I won't be doing that anytime soon, because I'm going to have to design that and get the bricks for it and all the rest of it. So in the meantime, I think what I'm going to do is move the orchard there, really spread out the orchard trees and have them in sort of rows there, just as a holding pattern. And then I can probably reshuffle everything else to better fit this new scene, because I am going to have to dovetail these sort of raised base plates here with this slightly lower level table and connect the two. So I think what that's going to mean is I'm going to have to push this barn forward a bit. And therefore, to compensate with the sort of layout of things, I think I'm going to push this silo, this grain silo, back a bit and see how it all looks. So I'm going to put down my camera and get on with trying some of that. We're probably going to go quite a way back before we can go forward again, but here goes. Right, so as you can see, I've had to take it quite a long way back as I thought. So let me show you what I've done so far. I'll just remove this grain silo. So what I had in my useless bits box was two very large bricks. This is actually a brick depth, but 8 by 16. And there's two of those, and another really large brick, which is this 4 by 12. And I've kind of used them to not only create part of the step from this normal level up to the window ledge level, but also to bridge the gap, because the original base plates were only coming up to about here, so there's kind of an unsightly gap between the wall where they ended. So I'm hoping that'll look a little less conspicuous when I finish the slopes and when I've got everything back in place. And then I thought I'd use this really nice 6 by 8 slope piece, which I've used before actually in the castle approach on Major Oak Hill. And it's actually called a slate roof piece. And it's been in 3 sets in the past, including 6552, Rocky River Retreat from 1993. And I think when I built Major Oak Hill, I had one of those spare. So basically, I'm using a lot of really old pieces here, but the rest is very similar as it was before. And what I'm going to do is have this base plate overlapping this section, and I'm hoping to kind of dovetail it up. It's going to be a bit messy, but as I say, it's going to have crops all over it, this higher bit, so you really won't be able to tell at all. But from a distance, I think it will just be multi-layered greenness. So that's what I'm hoping. And I can kind of really tidy this edge up by kind of putting on curved slopes to kind of link the two bits together, or plates as well, just to kind of hide that join. So I think in a little bit more effort, we'll have it all looking quite normal, and then we can continue on. And it's still in the normal sort of base plate sort of setup, and then it's all aligned and so on. So it'll be easier to integrate with the fairground in a bit. Right, well, this may not look very different to you at all, but I assure you it is. This barn is now sort of straddling the 2 levels, and it's all joined up all along the kind of seam between the two, leaving plenty of room for the field to be harvested by the harvester. And then you can see that slope in between the buildings sort of continuing on. And then we've got the ramp, which is the cobbled sort of roof type thing, slate roof. And then we've got a bit of a mishmash of tiles and plates and bricks, slopes, curved slopes and all that to kind of finish off that corner, which gives it a bit of texture, to be honest, from a distance. It's a bit messy up close, but I think when we've got everything else in, it'll look at least as good as it was before, but with the added space behind. And the fact that it goes up to the wall edge, I think, is an improvement. So yeah, let's get some of this other stuff back in place. Now that looks a lot better if you ask me. Everything is a lot more spaced out. For a start, you've got Alex the goat on his golden hay in a really prime position on his own rather than just being sort of tucked in. And we've even got the chicken scene with the really large egg in its own sort of space now as well, with a bit of green in between everything. We've even got the manure man wheeling along at the back there, and these other tanks are featuring right up against the wall, giving that a good bit of colour and height as well. And there is the orchard. Now, the orchard could take quite a few more trees, I think, and even some fallen fruit perhaps in the way of pink tiles, but I don't have any of either. So for now, we'll just have to make do with that. I think what I do have, and I should add, is a few more of these little green plant pieces that are just spread all over, just so they can fill in the newer areas. Speaking of which, this is now an almost whole base plate that I can use for the harvest scene, right up against the blind. I think that's going to be blinding. So I think that'll be really good. So what I need to do here, I think, next is sort of build a bit of a framework for where the crop's going to go. That may sound a bit odd at the moment, but you might see what I mean if I've got enough bricks to do it today. But yeah, the farm is back, Far Corner Farm, and looking as good as ever, if you ask me, if not a little better. Now, another thing I don't have pieces for, actually, while we're here, is redoing the supports for the UFO that's beaming up the farmer, who looks very calm indeed. I guess that's the calming effects of the alien rays. But what I'm going to do to this scene is use a column of cylinder pieces to kind of hold up the UFO. Oh golly, that's very close fitting as it stands. Not in these colours, and that's what I'm short of, the actual right ones, but use that kind of to support the UFO itself, whilst also being the tractor beam that's pulling up the farmer. So what I want to do is have it made out of clear ones underneath the farmer, and then neon green ones kind of on the farmer and up, so it sort of looks a bit like that. So he'll be being pulled into the spaceship, and it will be being supported by this rather than the three separate columns of 1x2x5 bricks. So hopefully that will be an improvement. So I've just got to work out how many of these I need, and it's obviously quite a few. Right, so on to our field of wheat that's going to be harvested by a wonderful harvester. And I've outlined kind of the space that I'm going to allocate to the field. It's a bit square at the moment, but fields tend to be square, and I might rough up the edge in due course. And I've done that by 2 plate layers, the first 4 wide and the one above it 2 wide, just to give it kind of a ramp up slightly. And then I'm going to kind of fill in this rectangle here where the harvester has been with brown bricks, just to create bare earth, so to speak. And then in the big square in front of it, and indeed a strip kind of down the very outside where I've got these 1x1 round bricks, I'm going to have the wheat that's still standing. And obviously this field is going to go on for a vast distance, both that way through the wall and that way through the window, and be a great big field worth harvesting. But at the moment, he's just started, the farmer, on this corner. So I think it'll be quite an interesting scene to have this here, having made some progress, but with so much yet to do. So that's really nice. Now, I haven't got any pieces for the wheat itself, and I'm going to need an absolute load as well. I'm going to be making it using bar pieces and a few other pieces. So I won't spoil that now. Suffice to say, I have ordered them already, so they will be en route, probably in quite a long time if we're continuing the delays, because some of them are from Lego bricks and pieces. And I literally just received yesterday an order that I made on the 6th of December. So that's over 2 months to get here. So yeah, fingers crossed that the farm field wheat will be a lot quicker. Anyway, I'm going to try and fill in what I can with what brown bricks I have. But where I don't have enough, I'm just going to have to add those to my wanted list for future bricklink orders, I think. Yeah, but I think that'll look really good against the blind. Cool. Well, okay, this is starting to take shape. At least in my eyes it is anyway. It might be a bit hard to see at this point. Why is there a train base in it, you might say? Well, train bases are actually 2 studs deep. So if you've got a spare one like this that's 24 by 6, I can just lay brown plates on top of it and it will kind of do the same job as loads of expensive bricks. Now, as it happens, I haven't got enough brown plates either at the moment, so that's why it's showing. But these are all bricks, so we've got this pleasing sort of 3 levels sort of tiering to get up to the field proper. And then I've used all of my 1x1 round bricks along that edge, 2 deep, and they will fill this entire area here as well. But yep, I've run out of those as well. And what each one of those will be doing is supporting a 4-long bar piece in tan colour, and the tan 4-long bar piece will be taking one of those Technic half pins that's also in tan, and the serrated edge of those things should give the impression of some ears of corn. So I don't know if you can picture that in your mind's eye, but that's how it's going to be. And then when this harvester is in position and everything underneath it is brown, then you'll have the big expanse of corn yet to harvest there, and the strip that's kind of a facade really of the next stripe that he's going to be taking out of the field will be along the edge of the Lego room. So yeah, I think that looks good. It's definitely better than the scene we had before when it was just kind of parked up diagonally in the corner. So we'll have to see how that works out when we've got all those pieces. But it will be another good splash of colour at the very least, and texture as well actually. Well, I'm sorry, we didn't really get to the fairground after all that. It really has taken quite a long time to, well, go backwards 2 steps and probably forward 3, maybe. I mean, it's some progress. It definitely looks really good, the farm being a bit bigger. And from this perspective, standing back, that combine harvester looks absolutely great on the field. It'll look even better when it's got loads of crops in front of it and down one side. And all the rest of the farm has actually been able to spread out as a result. Not just have we got the goat out there and things like that, but I've actually moved the pumpkin patch just to the right of the barn there, for example, which freed up some of the crates and boxes and so on that can go near the orchard and make the scene in front of the dairy not quite so congested, and around the tractor as well. So yeah, I think it's looking really good. And the new chicken house, hen house roof fits in with all the others. Now it's red. So yeah, I think it looks really good. And even those orangey yellow tanks against the wall look really good as well. So I'm happy with that. There's still plenty to do on this area, so I don't know what I'm going to do about this table's positioning and all the rest of it. I'm absolutely tired from pulling myself up through that very small hole and down again every time I need something that's not within immediate reach. But technically I need fallen fruit, I need more trees for the orchard, I need more brown bricks for the field, I need the wheat, of course, I need lots more cylinder pieces to keep up the alien UFO. But hey-ho, yeah, it's Rome wasn't built in a day. And we have done the planes today, which I'm very happy with indeed. The sort of stealth, sort of spy plane almost, black one, and the passenger liner much better placed now, I think. So that's good, though I will be glad to get this table back in position in due course. And of course our vehicle of the week as well, which is looking very cool indeed. And I really like her sort of dip-dyed hair on that one. She's one of the characters from the Monkey Kid range, of course. And you may have noticed these monorail stanchions, because I think I'll be extending the monorail all the way up to the standing hole, but probably not beyond. So don't get too excited. But I do want the tram to be able to go down either path. But that's for another day. So hopefully you like what we've done today. It has been, as I say, quite a lot of work for, well, perhaps not a lot of visual progress, but I think when we extend this further along the window ledge and get rides on it and so on, and then really incorporate that whole area with this table lowered down to its level to accommodate the electronics for the fairground, I think it'll all be worth that groundwork. So, as always, tell me what you think and if you've got any suggestions for further improvements. So as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And if you value this channel, there are many ways in which you can support it. Do check out the links in the description below. Your contribution will be appreciated. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, well, I was thinking I might do a train-related build again, since it's normal build Monday. But I don't think I'll be doing another carriage. I think I might be doing a train-related building. So look out for that on Monday, and I'll see you then. See you!